Hello, my sweet and precious children. We're going to be talking about Unit 1 today, and I'm getting over a cold, so bear with me because I'm not feeling all that great, so I hope I don't sound too nasal. Today we're going to be talking about decimals and fractions, right? So just a reminder, when you see a fraction that looks like this, we say 3/4, right? 3/10, right? 17 100ths, right? That's the key there, is the and because today we're going to apply that also to decimals, And you guys, I keep bringing these in and then I keep forgetting to give them to you. But they are, this is like a little decimal cheat sheet that I have here. And this says, like, for example, if I put 17 on my chart here, you would say whatever this number is, 17, and then the place that it is hundredths. I know it's a little hard to see. I'm sorry about that. So how does that work for decimal places? So it's just like in our on our whole number side, except we don't use the ones column. So our very first one, this is going to be 10 tenths. This will be hundredths, and then thousandths. I'm abbreviating there. And then 10,000, just like we would 10,000. So like I said, you can kind of see it on my chart here, right there on the side here, and you can see, and then 100,000s would be next. So, and I'll bring those in for you guys because I think those are an easier way to sort of learn this. So if you're following along at home, I'm on page 184, and the first thing I want to do is we're going to do example number 1, and you need to be writing these examples down. First is A, 7/10. Write this as a fraction and as a decimal, right? So we're going to take this fraction and we're going to write it as a decimal. So do you see that it's 7/10? Well, that's where it's nice and convenient. 7/10 is just going to be 0.7, because the way that we would say that on my little chart here is we would have a 7 right here, and it would be 7/10, right? So 7/10. It's said the exact same way. This would be 7/10, okay? So let's see about example number 2. There we go. All right, so for example number 2, it says name the shaded part of this square. And you'll see that there are 23 spots shaded out of 100. 23 spots out of 100. You can see that right there, right? So, let me move that. Okay, so 23 out of 100, and then we want to write it as a fraction and as a decimal. So we've written it as a fraction, and we can't reduce that any further. And so it's 23 hundredths, and the way that we would write that as a decimal is 23 hundredths. It would go to our hundredths spot, and this is where it gets a little tricky, because you're probably looking at that thinking, well, if that was a whole number, that would be our tenths spot, or our tens spot. But when we are on the decimal side, we skip that ones, and so this is actually our hundredths spot. Okay, there's a lovely place value chart if you need it in the meantime before I can get you mine on page 184 at the bottom. That's a good idea maybe to copy that down so you have some practice with those, okay? So number 3, and the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, which digit is in the thousandths place? This one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, this will work. So this is how I have this to set up to use. 3, 4, 5, 7, 9. So looking at this guy right here, I would read it out like I normally do, right? If that was a normal number, let's just rewrite it down here. 34,579. So you say it like normal, 34,579 hundred thousandths. That is, you say the number and then you say the place that it's at. And it's asking us which digit is in the thousandths place. Remember, it's going to be right here, right? And it looks like it would be the hundredths place because there's only 3 digits, but we do it a little bit different on the decimal side. Okay, so that was example number 3. For example 4, this one says, name the spot occupied by this. So 4 by the 7. Name the spot that is occupied by 7. We come right over here. We look, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 spots over, so it's in our 10,000ths place, 10,000ths. Number 5, read this decimal out loud. 123 So the way you'd read it is just like your normal right before the decimal, and the word decimal means and. So 123 and then you say this again, 123 thousandths. You say the number and then you say the place. For example 6, use digits to write these decimal numbers. 75 thousandths. Well, we come to since we know it's going to be in the placeholder, that's where we want the number to end, right? So 75 means that it's going to look like this. But you'll notice there's a spot missing right here before the decimal. You got to throw a 0 in there for a placeholder, okay? Zeros at the end of fractions don't really matter, but zeros, well, they do when you get to calculus, or chemistry. But right now, you can just put a 0 here. Good. Okay, so 111 hundredths. So 111 hundredths. Well, here's our hundredth spot here, so I need 11 to end there. So I'm going to do it like this. So that would be 111 hundredths. Okay, so now we're on to the practice problems. You'll see on page 186, the practice problems are about halfway down. So for A, write 3 hundredths as a fraction, then write it as a decimal. So 3 hundredths as a fraction, this is A, and then write it as a decimal, which would be 0.03. Remember, it's 3, so we're going to write the number 3, but it's hundredths, so it has to end here. So it's going to be 3 with a 0 in the front. If you put it like this, so this is 3 over 100, which is 0.03. 30 over 100 would look like 0.30, but we don't really care about the 0 at the end. So do you see the difference between those two? You got to be real careful with those singles. Okay. For B, name the shaded part of the circle as a fraction and as a decimal. And this circle, it looks like it's got 3 out of 3 tenths. So 3 tenths, and then the decimal would be 0.3, so 3 tenths. This is what I was saying about the 30 over 100, right? Okay, so for C, in the number 16.57349, which digit is in the thousandths place? Well, this is 10, 100, thousandths. So 3 would be in our thousandths place. For D, the number 36.4375 has how many decimal places? It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. 4 decimal places. E, use words to write each decimal number. E, this is 25, 1, 3, 4. So this would be 25 and 100, 134, and that's tens, hundreds, thousands, 34 thousandths, just like that, okay, just like that. It's my dog groaning in the background. He's annoyed because it's nighttime and he's like, I want to sleep, lady, and you're not letting me sleep. All right, so we're going to use words to write this thing right here. This is 100. 100, and that's a decimal, right? 1, and then what's the place in that? Well, this is tenths, this is hundredths, so 100 100ths. So you say it how you would normally, and then you just give me that last little bit is the place. All right, so that was F. So G, use digits to write each decimal number. 102 and 3 tenths. 102 and 3 tenths. H. 125. 125. Oh, 10 thousandths. There's no and in here. So 125 10 thousandths. Well, let's just double check here. If I put it there, that's tens, hundreds, thousands, 10 thousandths. Bam, I did this right. All right, 300 and 75 thousandths. So the thousandths would be, our first place is tens, hundreds, thousands. So 75 Thousandths will look like that. Got to put that placeholder in there. All right, guys, if you have any questions with learning how to read and write decimals, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you in class. Thanks, guys.